I am also someone who believes that only time we can really grow and develop as a person is when we put ourselves outside of our comfort zone. Hello everyone and welcome back to the Americans in Paris channel. My name is Molly Sabrier and today's episode is going to be a little bit different. I feel like I've been saying that the past few episodes because we have been switching up the format of the things that we usually release here on the Americans in Paris channel. And honestly, it's because we're still in the very early stages of the channel, still experimenting with some things, still figuring out what works and what doesn't work. And that is actually the topic of today's video. It's going to be a little more chatty, hanging out with Molly at my apartment. I've got my cup of coffee with me. It is a rainy day today, but I love watching and consuming content that is kind of this build in public sort of vibe. So that is what I'm going to do here. This is going to be the first video in a new series where I go into what it's like to build a YouTube channel when you know nothing, what it's like to build a community here on YouTube, my experience building up the Americans in Paris website. Before we get into it, please, if you haven't already, liked this video and subscribe to our channel. It really means a lot to us as we grow. So let's get into it. Now, if you've been following along, you've seen my other videos where I talk a lot about my experience being an au pair or going to French university as a foreigner or learning French as a foreign language. So if you've been paying attention and if you've been following along, you know that I am more of a shy girl. I am definitely more of an introvert. I get energy from spending time alone. I'm not an extrovert at all. I have wonderful friends and very rich relationships with those friends, but I'm definitely not someone who's in your face, I would say. I think you could probably tell just by the way I speak in my videos. Very calm, reserved, relaxed. So putting myself out there in front of potentially millions of people on YouTube was a little bit intimidating for me, but I am also someone who believes that the only time we can really grow and develop as a person is when we put ourselves outside of our comfort zone. And sharing my story online is something that I have been wanting to do for years. If you ask some of my closest friends, they know that I go so back and forth about sharing more on social media, about having this desire to share with more people. And I think it comes down to one simple fact, and that is I'm a writer. I am a writer at heart. I remember the first time I discovered what writing could mean for me. And after speaking with other fellow writers, I think the one thing that we all have in common is this desire, want, need to share. And that, I think, is ultimately the premise behind social media, whatever it's morphed into now at this point. It was created to share with other people, and although I can sometimes, I guess, resist this whole living online sort of idea, there's no denying that we live in a digital and connected world. And if we didn't have all of this technology, I wouldn't be able to keep in touch with so many family and friends all across the world. And so I am thankful for this technology that we have, and I want to use it to share my story, ultimately just connect with other people who may feel similarly to me, who may be going through similar things that I am, who may come across this channel and be totally inspired to change their life and move to France. I just have this really deep desire to share with others and to help others. And so those two ideas kind of coincide in this American in Paris project. And when I took over the website, I knew the value that we have in our articles, but I also know the value of video. So to share a little bit more about myself outside of the American in Paris world, I do writing and marketing professionally, and I can see that everyone's attention is being pulled much more towards video. And this isn't to say that I'm going to stop blogging. This isn't to say that I'm going to take the American in Paris website down. I am not going to do that. I'm going to continue to publish weekly on that website as I have been. But I do think there is such a great opportunity to help even more people if we can take the information that we have shared on the website and put it into video form. And so that is basically the reason why we are here on YouTube. And I'm just so excited to see what comes out of opening up more and sharing with more people. This also requires a certain level of comfort with being vulnerable on camera. Humans crave human connection, and a big part of that is having the courage to be vulnerable. We are attracted to vulnerable stories. Is the best way to connect with others in person, you know, if you're having a conversation and you're being vulnerable in person, or by publishing content that is vulnerable. So I think this video is kind of the start of me wanting to lean in more to being more vulnerable. Not only is this like a big change for me in the sense of I'm putting myself out there a little bit more in front of all these people online, but it's also required me to totally learn I'm not gonna say a new skill, several new skills. In business, in my professional life, I tend to have this attitude of, oh, I can do that. It has served me very well in the past, like extremely well, but it also means that I end up underestimating the amount of work that needs to go into certain things. So as we were talking more and more about actually launching this channel, Steven, my co-host, has several other YouTube channels and he's much more experienced with YouTube than I am. And when I told him that I wanted to publish 3 videos per week, he kind of looked at me like, that's ambitious, but go for it. We have worked on so many businesses and projects together that he knows this is the way that I work. And so I just kind of said, let's do it, not thinking that I would have to learn how to edit videos, not thinking that I would have to learn how to be comfortable speaking on a video, not that I would have to learn like what to put in a YouTube title, YouTube description, YouTube thumbnail, all of these different things that I just have no idea about, because another caveat to all of this is I'm not a real big consumer of YouTube on my own. Now that we're doing this, I'm getting more and more into it. But I just, in my free time, I'm much more likely to be scrolling on Instagram or TikTok or like reading a book than I am like watching YouTube. So I was really coming at this with like next to zero knowledge. But as intimidating as that might sound, it's very exciting to me. I have mentioned this in a different video. I'm a lifetime learner, and so learning a new skill, adding a new service to my business offerings, I'm always up for that. I'm always up for the challenge. I'm always up to learn more. Now we're about a month and a half into this, and I feel like things are becoming more natural. I feel that I'm becoming more comfortable on camera. I hope so. I am learning so much, and what's been really cool about this whole process is I've really been able to see how much my consistency has been paying off, because we are, you know, a month and a half in and we're already at over 100 subscribers. And I know for some people that doesn't seem like a lot, but I mean, picture a room full of 100 people. And so when you reframe it like that, take the numbers away from just like views and likes, and you actually imagine what a room full of 100 people would look and feel like. It's exciting to me that we are growing so consistently and that people are finding our videos so helpful, because at the end of the day, we talk a lot here on the Americans in Paris about how important it is to determine your why before you move abroad. Well, we take that idea into pretty much everything that we do. So our why for the Americans in Paris website, for the Americans in Paris YouTube channel, is always to help and inspire others. And based on the subscriber count growing and growing, slowly but surely, I think we're doing a good job so far. So a moral of this somewhat of a tangent, I am so happy and so grateful for everything that's come out of this channel so far. I'm so happy and grateful that people are resonating with the content that we're putting out. I'm so grateful that it's helpful for some people. I'm just so excited to see where this project takes us. I hope you enjoy, like me, enjoy watching people build in public. I hope you enjoyed this video. Definitely let me know in the comment section if you want to know more. I'd love to get a little bit more personal in here, share my story even more in depth. and hopefully inspire others and help others as much as I can. So as usual, if you enjoyed this video, please like it and subscribe to our channel. If you enjoyed this whole chit chat with malls, building in public vibe, definitely let me know. I'm going to continue to do episodes like this every once in a while, so keep your eye out for it. It's so funny, this episode came to be because I was recording a different episode on how to use a French website, and in French website fashion, it wouldn't work for me. So that will be another sort of thing to mention that's like on the vein of building in public. Had to be willing to adjust when necessary, which can be a little bit tough for me personally. I've had to learn to roll with the punches as I'm, building this channel on the back end pretty much on my own. And it's also been a lesson in not being so obsessed with everything being so perfect. And that's just a lesson that I have to continually learn as an entrepreneur, as a business owner. A successful business owner, it really is the whole idea of like throwing spaghetti against the wall and seeing what sticks. And you have to be really good at shifting, pivoting, refining, editing your offer based on the information that you're receiving. So that's another lesson that I've learned since starting this channel. Anyway, I'm getting too deep in the weeds. That feels like a good place to end. Again, I hope you enjoyed. If you want to see more of these off-the-cuff, personal chit-chat with malls, build in public style videos, please let me know. If you haven't already, please like this video and subscribe to our channel and share it with anyone else who you think it might help. As we always say, thanks so much for watching. See you soon et à bientôt.